Pakistan is on fire. A brutal heat wave has gripped the nation, pushing temperatures to unbearable extremes. This is not just another hot summer. It's a scorching testament to the escalating climate crisis. Millions are suffering under the relentless sun, and the very fabric of Pakistani life is under threat. Cities are baking, with temperatures regularly exceeding 40 degrees Celsius, and sometimes soaring even higher. The scorching sun beats down mercilessly, turning streets into furnaces and homes into ovens. For many, especially the most vulnerable, simply surviving each day has become a struggle. The elderly, the young, and those with underlying health conditions are particularly at risk. Hospitals are overflowing with heat stroke victims, their resources stretched thin. The poor, who often lack access to cooling and shelter, bear the brunt of the crisis. Pakistan's heat wave is a stark reminder that climate change is not a distant threat. It is a present danger. Across Pakistan, the mercury is soaring to terrifying heights. Cities like Jacobabad, already known for their extreme heat, are recording temperatures close to 50 degrees Celsius. These are not just numbers on a thermometer. They represent a very real and dangerous threat to human life. Heat stroke cases are surging, overwhelming hospitals and clinics. The elderly are particularly vulnerable, their bodies less able to cope with the extreme temperatures. Children, too, are at risk, their small bodies susceptible to heat-related illnesses. Outdoor work becomes nearly impossible, jeopardizing livelihoods and the economy. Schools are forced to close, disrupting education. Access to clean drinking water and electricity, essential for staying cool, is limited for many. The poorest and most marginalized are suffering the most in this climate crisis. While Pakistan, like many countries, is no stranger to hot weather, the severity of this heat wave is unprecedented. Scientists are clear. This is not just natural climate variability, this is climate change driven by human activity. The burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and other unsustainable practices have released massive amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. These greenhouse gases trap heat from the sun, leading to a gradual warming of the planet. This warming effect is not uniform. Some regions, like Pakistan, are experiencing more dramatic temperature increases than others. The science is undeniable. Human actions are fueling this crisis. The link between this heat wave and climate change is not a matter of speculation. It is a matter of scientific consensus. The longer we delay action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, the more frequent and intense such extreme weather events will become. The heat wave's impact extends far beyond individual discomfort. It is crippling essential sectors of Pakistani society. Agriculture, the backbone of the nation's economy, is facing devastating losses. Crops are withering in the fields, unable to withstand the scorching temperatures and lack of water. Water scarcity, already a pressing issue in Pakistan, is being exacerbated by the heat wave. Rivers and reservoirs are drying up at alarming rates, as evaporation accelerates under the relentless sun. This lack of water is not only impacting agriculture, but also threatening access to safe drinking water for millions. The healthcare system, already burdened by the COVID-19 pandemic, is struggling to cope with the influx of heat stroke patients. The combination of extreme heat and the ongoing pandemic is creating a perfect storm for a public health emergency. The demand for electricity has skyrocketed as people struggle to stay cool, overwhelming the power grid and leading to widespread power outages. The current heat wave in Pakistan is not an isolated incident. It's part of a larger trend of increasing temperatures and more frequent and intense heat waves globally. Climate models have consistently predicted that as global temperatures rise, extreme heat events will become more common and more severe. Scientists warn that if we continue on our current trajectory of greenhouse gas emissions, heat waves like the one gripping Pakistan will become the new normal. This means more human suffering, more strain on infrastructure and resources, and more economic damage. The IPCC's latest report paints a stark picture of the future if we fail to reduce emissions. It predicts more frequent and intense heat waves, droughts, and floods, all of which will have devastating consequences for human societies and ecosystems. We can choose to ignore the warnings and continue down a path of unchecked warming, leading to a future of climate chaos. Or we can choose to act now to drastically reduce our emissions and mitigate the worst impacts of climate change. As the heat wave continues to grip Pakistan, immediate action is needed to protect people from the dangerous temperatures. Public awareness campaigns are crucial to educate citizens about the risks of extreme heat and how to stay safe. This includes providing guidance on recognizing the signs of heat stroke, staying hydrated, and finding cool spaces during the hottest parts of the day. Cities across Pakistan need to establish cooling centers where people can find respite from the heat. These centers should be easily accessible, particularly for the elderly, the very young, and those without access to air conditioning at home. Providing free water and basic medical attention at these centers is essential. The government must ensure the uninterrupted supply of electricity, especially to hospitals and other essential facilities. This may require diverting power from less critical areas and investing in backup generators. Addressing power outages is crucial for ensuring the functioning of healthcare and other essential services during the heat wave. International aid and support are vital in helping Pakistan cope with this crisis. Addressing the root causes of climate change is paramount to preventing future heat waves of this magnitude. This requires a global effort to transition away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy sources like solar and wind power. Investing in clean energy will not only reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but also create jobs and improve air quality. Pakistan must implement sustainable urban planning strategies to combat the urban heat island effect. This includes increasing green spaces, planting trees, and using cool roofs and pavements that reflect sunlight and reduce heat absorption. Greening cities will not only lower temperatures, but also improve air quality and enhance the overall livability of urban areas. Water conservation is critical in a warming world. Pakistan needs to invest in efficient irrigation systems, promote drought-resistant crops, and educate the public about responsible water use. Addressing water scarcity is essential for ensuring food security, protecting ecosystems, and building resilience to climate change. Investing in climate-resilient infrastructure is crucial to withstand future extreme weather events. The devastating heat wave in Pakistan is a stark reminder of the human cost of climate change. It is a call for immediate and decisive action from the global community. Ignoring this crisis is not an option. It is a choice we make, knowing full well the consequences. The longer we wait to address climate change, the more severe the impacts will be. We are already witnessing the devastating effects of a warming planet. From extreme heat waves to catastrophic floods and wildfires, the science is clear: we must act now to avert the worst-case scenarios. This is not just an environmental issue. It is a matter of social justice. The poorest and most vulnerable communities, those who have contributed the least to climate change, are bearing the brunt of its impacts. We have a moral imperative to act, to protect those most at risk. We need concrete action, ambitious targets, and a global commitment to transitioning to a low-carbon economy. While Pakistan is on the front lines of the climate crisis, it is not alone in this fight. Addressing this global challenge requires a collective effort from all nations, rich and poor. Developed countries, which have historically contributed the most to greenhouse gas emissions, have a particular responsibility to lead the way. International cooperation is essential for sharing knowledge, technology, and resources to combat climate change. Developed nations must provide financial and technical assistance to developing countries like Pakistan to help them adapt to the impacts of climate change and transition to a low-carbon economy. This is not about charity, it is about climate justice. Developed countries have a moral obligation to help those most affected by a crisis they have largely created. It is in everyone's best interest to work together to create a more sustainable and equitable future for all. Pakistan's youth are at the forefront of demanding climate action. Their voices, and the voices of young people around the world, must be heard and heeded. The challenges posed by climate change are immense, but they are not insurmountable. There is still time to act, to change course, and to create a cooler, more sustainable future for all. It requires a collective effort, a shared vision, and unwavering commitment. The solutions to climate change are within reach. We have the technology to transition to renewable energy, the knowledge to build climate-resilient infrastructure, and the resources to create a more sustainable and equitable world. What we need now is the political will and the collective action to make it happen. The heat wave in Pakistan is a wake-up call, a stark reminder of what is at stake. It is a call for solidarity, for compassion, and for action. Let us honor the suffering of those affected by this crisis by taking meaningful action to address the climate emergency. Let us choose hope, let us choose action, and let us build a cooler, more sustainable, and just world for all.